7.7 billion rand passing through the market, flat day. We had industrials gaining around 25 basis points or so, with overall negativity filtering through into the market, but still very light volumes, Paul.
So since you were away, things got sharply better. We had a fabulous start to the year, so we must celebrate.
Are you saying a bad omen?
No, good news is filtering all around. I mean, the non-farm payrolls number was the most significant one Friday, but I think more importantly, quite a lot of data pointing towards a firmer US fourth quarter. And as you know, the Americans are only interested in their own readings. The Europe thing, I don't know. I mean, there obviously are headlines still out of Europe.
And unemployment rising, of course, we also saw those headlines
in Europe.
Ago. Yeah.
Well, I can't speak for the Europeans and whether they're working or not, but I mean, people are expecting the European economy to contract a bit this year, and I've yet to understand why that is. But equity markets appear to be trending higher. I mean, we basically closed up the year flat, and we're up 3 or something percent so far this year. So I'm not complaining. We'll have to see whether we can hold it, though, into the rest of January.
Absolutely. Well, let's look at the top 40 index behind us here. BHP Billiton up slightly. We had Sasol also gaining ground, up around 0.8%. The only two blue chip resource companies, so to speak, that
and those guys have got some making up to do, because we know that the Resources 20 was down like 8-9% last year. And it would have been worse had it not been for that currency bailout, with the rand moving up to around sort of 8.10, 8.15 at the year-end close. But I don't know what to say about these guys. I mean, we know what they're doing. We know commodity prices have been quite good. It all just comes down to confidence and whether people are going to price in higher earnings and, you know, more sentiment-driven higher PEs. I mean, if it was just me running the market, those things would be trading at 20% higher, but, you know.
Oh, it's interesting. At the beginning of last year, we saw quite a big rotation coming through from the industrial space and moving into the resource space. What kind of trends do you foresee into this year? Because the trends started to change quite extensively as the year went ahead, and we saw more troubles coming through from the Eurozone.
Well, it's kind of broken up, because if you talk industrials in this country, you're talking about things as diverse as ArcelorMittal right through to MTN and some other bits and pieces.
And the retailers, of course, as well.
Yeah, so I don't know what to say other than that it's all kind of sectoral and it's difficult. The retailers have remained very strong, and I don't know, I mean, whether Christmas sales were good or not, we'll see in the next few days, because remember, South African retailers put those numbers out round about now. I think they'll look fine. MTN is busy being hammered backwards because of difficulties in Iran and difficulties in Nigeria. I don't know whether you picked up the story, but Nigeria, they like doubled the fuel price overnight.
The fuel subsidy,
terrible miscalculation by the government, if you ask me, but I don't know. And then there's this Boko Haram group. I don't know who they are, but they're busy killing people in the northern part of the country, and the government doesn't seem to be able to do anything about it. Meanwhile, in Iran, they are like talking about the Straits of Hormuz being closed and, you know, the Fifth Fleet to the US, you know, and there could be some missiles being slung around. But, you know, these are not things to worry about. That's just, you know, the normal course of events.
And MTN is down 0.4% today.
But it was nearly at 150 late last year. Now, you know, we're grateful if it's hanging up around
135.
Yeah.
So would you be entering at
We have been cautiously, but I mean, we don't want to be caught in a firestorm around that one. So, I mean, normally we've seen these things before. I doubt anything's going to happen in Iran. And, you know, I think Nigeria will return to its normal state of fabulousness, you know, in due course and proceed accordingly. So I wouldn't see these as long-term problems, but, you know, who knows?
You mentioned the retailers. We're expecting those numbers. Woolies up 2% today. True is also quite strong, up around 1.7%. Steinhoff also gaining ground today. We had pretty much a mixed picture when it comes to the companies that are directly impacted by the consumer picture.
Yeah, and you know, Massmart is trading at an all-time high. It just seems to be able to go up every day thanks to the Walmart connection. People are loving that one.
It's sitting at 178.50 now.
That's crazy high, 178.50. Who would have thought? People thought 148 was too high, which is what they paid for it. You know, and their results recently haven't been that great because the transaction itself cost $1 bazillion to, you know, finalize in terms of the lawyers and bankers.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know, but it's so far so good. All the retailers, people seem happy to pay 20 PEs and more.
I'm quite fascinated to find out what the play on construction companies is going to be this year, given the fact that inflation is quite high. We've got the growth scenario is still relatively low, which actually means that we might be in a stagflationary environment. And I know that your construction play essentially is PPC. Would you be buying directly into any of those construction companies other than PPC?
Look, I mean, the construction companies are still deep in the doghouse. I mean, they were down like 28% last year after a bad year the year before. Murray and Roberts has got to a lot to do with that because that's one of the big leaders. But look, it's a relatively small and typically cyclical part of our economy. I think they're still going to do quite poorly. PPC is edging its way back to around 27, 28 Rand a share, trying its best. Cement sales have actually started to pick up a little bit. So we'll have to see where it goes. I mean, we're still hanging in there, but we haven't seen a positive return out of those boys for a while. But we do get a dividend.
Rand, down around 3.4%.
We do get a dividend. We're getting 95 cents out of them. Oh, that's why it's down today, because it went ex-div today, 95 cents.
Makes absolute sense.